All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another weekly update. I didn't realize I was over a week, that I missed a week's update last week. I honestly was debating even filming today's update or this week's update. I'm pretty tired. Paradox, Ochacha, and yeah, that's it. This week in particular, there's a lot of things. There's a game plan that I had in mind and what type of things that I was gonna work on, but as life often does, like the universe kind of has a different plan that kind of forces you to pivot. That's more aligned with the bigger picture, because I think the original game plan that I had in mind was focused more on maintenance of what would help with us continue growing on all aspects. But these the things that happened the past few days were more things that were relevant in terms of the bigger leaps and bounds in terms of growth. So let's get right onto the updates, from Temper Tantrum all the way to the reactions, because I know that's what some of you guys, hop in here with what's happening with the reactions and requests and all that stuff. So Temper Tantrum is the last month of training for us. And after this, once August comes, it's full on content creation mode, getting ready for shows, whatever it is that whatever projects that requires us to actually film it and put it out there. Up until this point, everything has just been training, get everyone leveled up to what we need for everyone when we go on stage. Not only that, we are also having mid-year auditions. What is it, July 2nd right now? Yeah. So we're having mid-year auditions July 27th. So if you guys happen to be in the LA area and are over 21 and have at least 2 years of dance experience, come through an audition. And obviously, hard worker, good vibes, not a dick, all that stuff, because culture is super important for us. Come through, come audition. July 27th, I think doors open at 6, so you can register, and we start teaching around 6:30. Should be Brandon and Lauren teaching all that stuff. And in regards to other opportunities and events, Temper Tantrum, and I'd say a good 2/3 of leadership went to a networking event for Pride event that we're trying to book. So we applied to be performers for this one event. We got an email we applied to this Pride event to be performers. We haven't gotten the confirmation if we were going to be performers yet, but we did get an email for a game night / networking event that they were having. And if I remember correctly, it was an opportunity to meet some of the vendors and some of the potential performers. So we saw this as an opportunity to meet the coordinators, meet any of the other acts that might potentially be there, show face, build connections, and network. So last night, at the time of recording this, we went to a networking event, which was a little different from what I'm used to, because like the normal networking events I go to are a little bit more corporate, a little bit more professional. Some are at bars, but this one was at a club and had a mix of shows, because they're presenting some of the talent that might potentially be on the actual festival itself, and a mixture of networking and connecting with other people, and also games. So it was a very mixed bag of events. It was a lot of fun. I usually go to these networking events by myself. This was when I was doing it for Vision Paradox, in hopes of using networking events to get clients. And side note, networking events in terms of that and never really panned out. But the purpose of this us going to this networking event was to hopefully get show face and actually put face to the name of us, to potentially get booked for this event and meet the coordinator. We really wanted to show that we wanted to be a part of this event, and I just think it was a smart move. Regardless if we get it or not, I think it's a net win overall, because we got to go out, meet new people around the community and around the people who throw that event. 2, we got to hang out, have a good time, and dance and cipher. And 3, we also got to film content of all of us dancing in the cipher as well. So, and I think we really, really made an impression with the people around there, because we were the only dance crew that was there, and we were in between the moments between acts when there was music. We were doing our thing as dancers do. We were ciphering, bringing the energy up, entertaining the people. So, which is a lot of what we do for some of the gigs that we get to do. So fingers crossed, because at the end of the night, Brandon got to meet with the coordinator. We sent him an email this morning with our stuff that we sent from the original form, but we sent him. But the upside now is that we got direct contact with the person who coordinated that event and who is part of the committee from the event that we're trying to perform at. So fingers crossed that this little bit of extra work and showing up to an event that they're throwing does put us a little bit more in the radar for us to get booked. At that point, it's more so we've done what we could to try to get us there, and it's up to them if we get booked or not. But we did the little bit of extra work to show up, because the minimum would be just fill out the application. I'd say we put the little extra effort to take our time and money to show up to their event, to support, to be a part of what they're doing, to get to know a little bit more about their community, who they are. The byproduct ideally would be getting an opportunity to perform, but if not, that's all good too, because I honestly like the little extra effort that we did. So, and then tomorrow evening there's going to be a leadership meeting for Tantrum in regards to the events that we're going to try to lock down, and the screening that we're supposed to do, the potential plans with Ochacha, and what else is there? Yeah, and retreat. Yeah, I think the main thing that really stood out to me is just just a little bit of extra effort. Even though I personally, for me, I was exhausted for that event. I slept the previous night at 5:30, woke up at 8 because there was a lot more work that needed to get done, and because prior to that prior to the networking event, so that happened on Tuesday. On Monday, we filmed at least for 13 hours of all the reaction stuff that we're trying to get a hold on, and I'll get to that in a sec. But filmed for 13 hours, so from 11 to 1:30, 14 hours, and then I stayed up to try to start organizing some of the files and to get editing, so I didn't sleep until 5:30. And then in the middle of all that, I also got a message from Ochacha that they needed they got a quote for costumes that they need for an upcoming performance, and they needed it within a week. And just trying to handle all that, so I'll get to that stuff as well. But just had like the filming, the editing, and then getting these messages like late at night, it was definitely a lot. So I was pretty exhausted from Monday, but then part of me didn't want to do the networking event and whatnot, because I had a feeling that I would need to turn on an aspect of me to be social when I was just mentally just exhausted from engaging from 14 hours of filming and a little bit of editing, and editing during the regular working hours. So, but to be honest, I think I saw it as regardless of how I felt, I saw it as a necessary step to do what essentially is the proper step towards the direction that we want, because the feeling's gonna be fleeting. I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna be tired regardless. So might as well show up and give it the best effort I got. And it helps that if it was me, it probably would have been very exhausting. But thankfully, it was a good chunk of us from board. So there was energy and food that definitely helped out, and great music that helped push us through. That helped push me through, regardless of how tired I was. Because by the end of the night, I was fading. So, but I think it was still enough. That's to say, like, don't sacrifice sleep to focus on work. It's just, this is what I chose, this is what I committed to, and I'm gonna do my best. Had this been some other event, like a random networking event that didn't really tie into the bigger thing, like a random networking event where to try to get clients, like I probably would have skipped it. But I felt like going to that networking event was necessary to meet the potential people that we might be working with for their bigger event. So I think it just played into the bigger picture of what we were trying to do, and it wasn't just for the fuck of it. I guess lesson from that is, do what is required. If it's important to you, you show up regardless of how tired you are, and if it's important to you, you rest regardless of how much you want to keep going. I think it's very hard to make the right call when you have an itch to keep going, or you're just exhausted. when personal self-awareness really matters. Of, am I this, am I like, I'm tired but I know I can keep going, or am I tired, I genuinely need to sleep, or I'm do I or is this thing that I'm trying to do truly that important, or is it something that's not even going to matter a week from now? An event like that we're trying to get to is aligned with what Temper Tantrum's trying to do, so we're doing what is required to potentially get us there. And it's not like this happens all the time. It's honestly like few and far in between that we do. But I saw this as an opportunity to try to get us there. So again, do what is required, but also check in with yourself. And it's also your life. Do whatever you want. But I'm just, the purpose of me sharing these videos is to share the journey, and hopefully you guys get a little bit of inspiration or some thoughts, or did I say inspiration already? I'm tired. A little bit of inspiration to take on whatever you're taking on, whether it's your own business or even just your own side project that you've been delaying. Okay, so next up is Vision Paradox. Today was the first day of filming with our returning client who does comedy. I personally was a little hesitant with working with them because their comedy's pretty edgy. Very edgy. Pretty edgy relative to like Max and myself's tastes. But in terms of others, I don't think he's as edgy as others. Like, I think people say worse. Yeah, like in terms of like, because the thing with comedy is because of like, because a lot of people have to be more cognizant of what they say, because words do matter, but they have to be cognizant of how they say things. But yeah, working with him, I think this time around was a lot smoother, because it was just him. I think the previous time he had a co-host that it seemed like his co-host was always trying to outshine him, which kind of what made a interesting tension when we were filming the first time around. This one felt good because we just had because we were just giving them prompts to work with, and they just kind of went off the cuff. And the strategy right now is pretty simple: get him online. And since he's a comedian, I'm just taking a page off the playbook from other comedians, like say an Andrew Schultz or Joe Rogan. I know a lot of you guys have opinions of them, but I'm just taking a page from their strategy of just having a podcast and having them share their thoughts on certain things, and kind of riff on it, because between shows, what are you going to do to continue building brand, or how do you keep bring awareness to what you do? Podcasts. And comedians, as far as I know, have the gift of gab, or the skill of gab, and I figured just giving them prompts that I think would help bring out those comedy chops, regardless of having any prep material, would help out. And it was pretty good. Some of it, like a lot of the stuff, was pretty funny today. So strategy right now is pretty simple. Let's create a podcast. Let's create a podcast show with them, and then do some reaction content stuff, because previously that type of content seemed to be doing well. It was unfortunate that we had to stop the momentum. So those are the first two things. The other type of content we're probably going to aim to do is maybe have them do a podcast with some other guests. The main thing right now is we're trying to again, low cost in terms of effort, but high volume in terms of production. So, and then once we can figure out what does well, we can do a little bit more of that. But as far as I know, the reaction content and podcast, pretty easy and straightforward. If he does do a show and do stand up, we'll capture that stuff, but that's not going to be happening anytime soon. And then other things we may do is just have him do challenge stuff. Like, I don't know, this guy's a boomer, so we might have him try to speak Gen Z language and see what he thinks. Simple things like that for him to showcase his comedy and personality. So, lesson for Vision Paradox: there's just working with the client and the strategy. I think the lesson, I guess the takeaway from that is find something that gets you consistent, regardless if it's social media, if it's exercising, if it's reading. Find a way to, because the main thing that we're trying to do is find consistency for this client, so that way we can start building their brand, figure out what works, and then same thing with you guys. Like that's the lesson that I want to share, is find a way to that's low cost, high impact, to get the ball rolling, to get the momentum going, because oftentimes we try to climb Mount Everest when we can't even hike a mile. So start off with something that's gonna get you that's gonna allow you to be consistent without feeling like you're pulling teeth, because again, momentum, once that momentum gets going, it's gonna be easier to stick around with it. All right, so in regards to Ochacha, they have they finished Taste of Japan. They did really well. They actually had such a big audience. It could have been considered a fire hazard. They had a bigger crowd at times throughout the day than the main stage, which was fantastic to hear and awesome to see. I wasn't there. I was in I was at Arizona. It was during Father's Day weekend, so it was great to see that, and it was good to see the crowd reactions, to see how well the performance did, to see how the band did. Lauren, Brandon, and Max of Temper Tantrum were there to show support, to film some of the content, and I think overall they did well. It was exciting. I think it was a nice win within a short amount of time, considering that we only had 3 weeks to get everything together. But I think it turned out great. The challenge for them was they didn't have a stage. They didn't even have linoleum or their own dance floor. They had essentially a booth and concrete. So shouts out to the dancers for making it work, because I think that the change came maybe a week before the whole thing. So what they're doing now is that they're prepping for their own pop-up. So it's not for an event, it's their own event that they're hosting at a restaurant that they are collaborating with, that the restaurant's going to be providing food and the Ochacha is going to be providing entertainment. So I'm excited for that. I think it's a great opportunity to promote the restaurant, sell tickets, sell merch, all the good things, to continue building Ochacha outside of conventions, outside of festivals and all that stuff. This gives them an opportunity to pitch their event at certain restaurants, to bring customers for the restaurants, sell food for the restaurant, and potentially have a returning customer base through leveraging Ochacha's evening length performance. So while I was filming reactions yesterday, I got a message that they got a quote for their costumes that they need within a month, and it was a pretty hefty price. So we had to figure out as soon as possible how to put it in deposit so they can get their costumes on time for the show. Fortunately, we were able to meet today to really discuss the finances and the practicality of what we can do in regards to getting the costumes for everyone. Is just one of those things, it's just one of those things when you're running a business. Yeah, just one of those things in business, or I would say in any journey, is that shit happens, and you got to be flexible, and you got to know what you want, and be willing to find an answer, to create a win-win. Being able to move forward does not mean you should compromise yourself. There are moments where you may need to compromise certain aspects, such as your goals. Like, some aspects of the goal may have to shift, but you should never compromise your values and who you are to try to get to the end goal. But you should be able to be flexible in terms of how to change the approach that aligns with your values and aligns with everything else. Does that make things longer? Yes, it makes the journey so much longer. It'd be easier if you were just an asshole and just like just like, a lot of people do it. A lot of people do it that way, and they don't bat an eye about like who they hurt. I do, and I also care about what is right with myself in this journey, which is why I think this journey is probably taking a lot longer than I would like, but it's still fun. Okay, so the last thing is Emeroy TV. As I said, this past Monday, Is it Tuesday today? It's Wednesday. Okay. This past Monday, we filmed about 14 hours straight of reaction stuff. We reacted to Kingdom episodes 9 and 10. The series 9 and 10. That series is done. Kingdom episodes 10 was much longer than I expected. It was a 3-hour episode, so we cut that into 3 parts. World Street Woman Fighter episode 3 was done with Lauren super late at night because that was the last thing we filmed, and we wanted Lauren, and Lauren wanted to be part of it, so she came after work. So parts 1 and 2 are on the way. We're going to be filming episode 4 probably in a couple weeks because we'll be out of town. And let's see. We also filmed K-pop Demon Hunter because that's kind of been trending on my Instagram, and that's something that me and Max and Kat, who did the reaction with us, we've been wanting to watch. So I figured that might be something that you guys want to see. We also did some other small things, a couple more beanie reactions. La Seraphim video Easy that I've never seen, and beanie Cat's Eye. I'm forgetting, but we did a whole lot this past Monday, so it was enough to cover 14 hours. And not only that, we're still doing votings for what reality show we're gonna be reacting to next. It's been very interesting seeing what's being voted for Emeroy TV and what's being voted for Tantrum TV. To make things simple, and I did this last time. I'm gonna do a total voting from both sides to see what we're gonna do, because I do have a preference of batch filming, because there's so much other things. I do not have the time to react to 2 different shows separately. So we're gonna be like on my end individually and as Temper Tantrum. No, not right now. So so we're gonna be combining those votes into one thing. Right now on my channel, it seems like Street Dance China is winning, or is it Street Dance? Yeah, so on my Patreon, it's Street Dance of China that seems to be winning, and on Temper Tantrum, it seems to be Street Dance Girls Fighter. We'll see what happens when we combine both votes. And in regards to requests, I know I said I was going to try to pick things back up by July. I apologize, I'm not going to be able to pick that up anytime soon. I do promise that I'll be able to get to it, or if you want a refund from your requests, feel free to message me and I'll refund you your request as well. But I do still have full intention to react to those requests regardless of you get a refund or not, because to me it's more important that I'm my word, and I know a lot of you guys have put in requests and I haven't been able to get to it because I've been busy trying to catch up on backlogged requests that were supposed to go on YouTube but never did. I just finished some of the backlogged requests, formatting those backlog requests for YouTube that were from 2023, and I'm going to be trying to catch up with some of the 2024 stuff, so that way I'm not crazy backlogged when I start things back up again. So it's likely I'm going to be pushing the requests to December or maybe even next year. That right now feels the most feasible because I feel like I'm making some pretty good progress in terms of knocking out the backlogged requests for YouTube, and I just don't want to overwhelm myself and seem like the list is never going to be. So again, I apologize that I'm not able to fulfill the requests that you guys paid for anytime soon, but again, it is my intention to still fulfill those requests. And if you guys who did do requests want a refund from the Patreon, let me know and I'll send it on over. But full transparency, I may not be able to send it right away. Just give me some time if you do ask for a refund. But yeah, I appreciate you. And again, I apologize that I haven't been able to get to it as soon as I'd like. All right, lesson of the week is, I don't know, I'm fucking tired. Sometimes you're gonna have a little bit of weeks or maybe seasons where you have to pull extra shifts, all-nighters, and there's going to be other seasons, days, weeks, months, where you get to get an experience balance. But life is always shifting. Especially if you're someone who's trying to who has high aspirations and and ambitions, and you're really working towards that, sometimes balance is gonna take a back seat, and you just have to work 12 hours, or sometimes things are going so well, and you get to chill and kick back and spend time with people. I think through that, you got to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself, and you have to be able to communicate that well with your partners, your friends and family, especially the ones who you want to spend the time with the most. I have a preference that I would like to spend time with my son and my partners, but sometimes I can't. Sometimes there's this that look of disappointment in their eyes that I gotta do this just for a little bit. The main thing is just to try to fight it, so it's just for a little bit, and you also try to prioritize to make time for them, because it can easily be a slippery slope that you just keep doing that and delaying spending time with them for a much longer period than you'd like. In the journey of chasing and doing what's important for you, make sure you make time to prioritize people who are important to you. Because I think it's going to be nice to have the success, or even more so the money that people want. They assume that will make them happy from the journey that they're chasing, but it's going to be better if you are able to share that and not be alone at the mountaintop. So, and it's hard. It is hard as hell. It's hard when I have to tell my partners that I'm going to stay up and do something else. I'm going to stay up and work a little longer, or cut our hangout time short because something important came up, or when I leave Arizona to see to come back to work. But when I'm actually able to spend time with them without the stress of work, of like this thing ruminating in my mind, of this thing needs to get done, this thing needs to get done, it's nice because I can actually be present. It sucks for me to hang out with them and I'm constantly thinking about the thing I need to finish and for work, because then I'm not even there. It's just a shell, and my mind is as what I'm trying to work at. So, and if that is the case, I'd much rather scratch that itch, get what I need to get done, and either get it done or accept that it may take longer and delay it, but at least I made progress so I can go back to the thing. Or, and that's just for me, because you may be single, or you may be in a position where your partner completely understands, and they will let you work 13-14 hours or maybe a month without seeing them. My circumstances are a little bit interesting, considering my son is in another state and I have two partners, so balancing it can be challenging, but we make it work. And at the end of the day, they also understand that this is what I'm trying to do. I don't even know how I got here. Anyways, like, oversharing, yeah, or not, but sometimes there's going to be these moments where you got to do a little bit more. You got to do what's required. I didn't want to, like, for example, we didn't want to do the fucking, like, that networking meeting, didn't have to do that. We did it anyways. Didn't have to film for 14 hours. Did it anyways. One, it was fun, but also we knew what value it would bring to the people who watch our channels. And sometimes it's going to be like that, but not all the time. And I think, remember, give yourself grace and just be honest with yourself. Like, do you want to keep going because you love it, or do you really need to kick back and take a weekend off and be with people that love you? Neither is wrong. It just comes back to who you are as a person. There are days where I want to fucking work 14 hours, but then there are days where I just want to veg out and just fucking play 2K or watch free run. But it goes back to what is required, where am I at, is there a potential buffer, or do I have to push? If there is a buffer, can I chill for a little bit? But yeah. Anyways, thanks for if you guys are still watching here. This is probably one of the longest updates I've done. I appreciate you guys being here. Share your lesson of the week, any projects you guys are currently working on, and yeah, Other than that, I'll see you guys at the in the reaction videos, any of the dance videos. Take care. Have a great week. Peace.